Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to another video of Python and Dynamo. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Python inside Dynamo to create materials by importing data from Excel file. Now let's take a look at the sections that we are going to cover today. Basically, it's a simple Dynamo script where we are going to import our data from Excel file, and we need to manage them as a list to have them as three distinct list to fit them inside the Python script. And inside the Python script, actually, we are going to import our necessary libraries, and we are going to set our inputs. And the third step would be testing if material is already exist. And the final section, we're going to create the material and store them inside the material browser. So let's type in. I have already prepared my Excel file where I stored information regarding our parameters that we are going to insert inside Dynamo and Revit associated to each material. Actually, we are going to create 9 materials here, and our parameters are names, descriptions, and mark. Let's start with Revit itself. If I go to Manage tab and activate Material Browser and search for APF, which was initials, prefixes of my materials, as you can see, there is no any materials starting with APF. And as a parameters, we are looking for name, description, and mark to fill them out. All right, now let's start with Dynamo. First thing first, we need to grab our data from Excel. So I'm gonna search for import Excel file path node, where we are going to address the location of the file where we store that, and file from path. Let's wire these two together. Okay, and let's browse to my Excel file. And as a sheet name, there's a sheet name sheet 1. So I'm gonna address this as a string sheet 1. All right, now let's run the script once. So as you can see, we have already imported all the data from the Excel file, and now we need to manage our lists. All right, because we need 3 distinct lists. All right, so now we need to transpose our data. As you can see, we end up with 3 lists which addresses our 3 columns inside Excel file. We need to get rid of the headers. So for that reason, I'm gonna search for drop items. Here is my list, and for the amounts, I'm gonna search for number slider, and we are going to basically get rid of the first item. All right, for that reason, since this is the nested list inside list, so we need to check this to use level as the second one, and if we hit run, here as you can see, we get rid of the first item inside each list. And now we need to have our three distinct lists. So I'm gonna search for a code block and type in 0. Let's make a couple of copy of each. With these code blocks, actually, I'm going to say that grab the first list, second one, and the third one, right? And if I hit run again, I'm gonna have my material list in just one list and description as well, and my mark in the another list. So these are basically our inputs to connect to our Python node, and we're gonna start with Python node. Let's bring a Python node. And we need to make it as a 3 inputs Python code. So I'm gonna wire all the list into the Python and edit that. So let me get rid of all these lines here. As the first step, we are going to import necessary Revit API libraries. So first of all, we are going to import CLR, which is our common language runtime. And then from that, we need to add some references. The first of them is Revit services, which allows access to Revit services in Dynamo. And then from that, from Revit services dot persistence, we import document manager, which manages the current document. And again, from the Revit services, we import transactions, transaction manager, which handles transactions in Revit. And now again, from the CLR, we need to add another reference. In this case, it should be Revit API, which adds a reference to Revit's API. And we're going to say from Autodesk dot Revit dot database, import all the libraries, all right, or Revit database classes. And now we need to actually get the current active Revit document. For that reason, we are going to say document manager dot instance dot current database document. Basically, we are saying that from all the available instances inside the Revit session, bring the current one. And now we need to address our inputs. for that reason, for the inputs, I'm going to name them like material underscore names as my first input, and for the second one, description is my second one, and marks. All right, now let's start our transaction. For that reason, we need to say transaction manager dot instance dot ensure in transaction, and as an argument we need to say our document, and then we need to have an empty list of the created materials. So I'm going to name that list as created underscore materials as an empty list. All right, now we need a loop through the provided data to create materials. Okay, so I'm gonna say for name, description, and mark in zip, which I'm going to explaining in a minute. I'm gonna bring the inputs. And the last one, mark. Here, zip actually is a function to combine the three lists like material names, descriptions, and marks into a single iterable that groups the corresponding elements from each list together. Actually, it's a function that creates pairs from elements to each list in the same position. All right, now let's move on. We need to iterate here because we are inside the loop. So we are going to use a filtered element collector to find existing materials in the project. Basically, in this section, we are going to search for the materials which already exist. So we are going to say material underscore collector is the standard way to find out. So we are going to say filtered element collector inside our document, and of class, which is as an argument we are looking for the material, and then we are going to check if material with the same name already exists. So for that reason we're going to say existing underscore material next, and we need math. I'm gonna use a loop inside the argument math in sorry, for math format in material collector underscore collector, and conditional if math and as an attribute name of that is equal to actual the name that we provided. Otherwise, return none. Now I'm going to use a conditional. We are going to say if, let me copy this one here, existing material, then created materials. Let me copy this one from here. Created materials dot append f inside a string, material and curly bracket name already exists. So actually in this case we are going to use a string but using f. That's because inside curly bracket I'm using name, and we are saying that return our values of the name inside the as a string. So when you use f as a prefix of a string, it enables you to insert variables or expressions directly within the string by using curly braces. Python will evaluate the expressions inside curly braces and substitute them with their values at runtime. All right, I hope that makes sense. And otherwise, we are going to say continue. Which means move to the next item in the loop. So now let's get back to our for loop, initial for loop, and we're going to say if the material does not exist, then create new one. So in this step, we are going to create our new material. For that reason, we need to check out the material ID. So we are going to say material underscore ID equals material dot, as a creation method we are going to search for create, and as an argument of the material creation we need documents and name. All right, so I'm going to say new underscore material document dot get element, which as an argument we need the material ID. That's the way you create new material inside Revit using Python. Now we need to retrieve the description and mark parameters of the material. So I'm going to rename those as this underscore prom, and we say new material dot, we need to use lookup parameters, and as an argument we need our parameter as a string, which was description. In this way we are going to get the description parameter, and the same for the mark. So I'm gonna say mark underscore prom, new material. We need to look for the parameter, so we need to say lookup parameter, and as an argument we search for mark. Now I'm gonna use a conditional format saying if disk parameter, then disk prom dot set description. Actually we are assigning the description value, and I'm gonna use another conditional for the other one, which was mark, and we are gonna set its values as well. All right, now we need to store the success messages in list. So for that reason we are going to say created materials dot append we're going to use again f and the values of those parameters. So I'm going to say created name, which we are going to return the values of that parameter. Let me copy this one here a couple of times and insert our name of the parameters, description and mark. So now we need to actually complete the transaction to apply changes to Revit. We're going to say transaction manager dot instance dot transaction task done, and then as an argument we don't need anything, and to return our data to the result we need to add them to the list that we created before here, created materials, which was an empty list. All right, now save the Python and let me run this. Let's see what was wrong with it. For name description mark in zip, (1971). Let me see this one here. Zip. Name, description, and mark in zip. Material underscore names, descriptions, and marks, and line. Okay, let me save this one here and run it again. Still I've got the invalid syntax. Mark in zip. That's interesting. Let me see if I have got anything wrong here. Mark and zip, material names, descriptions, and marks. I forgot colons here. We were inside the for loop. So we have problem with this one. Descriptions is not defined. Actually, that's correct because here is the descriptions. Okay, line 34. That's a normal process of knowing your mistakes. Number 34. Actually, it was number 34. Yes. Okay, description, that's correct. I misspelled it here. Save it again and run. Okay. I hope that it worked. And let's go back to the Manage tab and Material Browser. And let's search for APF, which was my initial. And as you can see, we have created all 9 materials inside our Revit. And if I select one of them, actually, as you can see, we have completed our 3 parameters: name, description, and mark. As you can see, we have completed for all of them. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a good day. See you.